Lawmakers in Congress have less than 1 week now to come to an agreement on the debt ceiling deal from President Joe Biden and House Speaker Kevin McCarthy.
KCAU 9 reporter Jason Toctasian tonight takes a look at the situation and tells us what would happen if a deal is not reached and who would be most impacted by a default. That's our top story tonight at 10.
Tim and Sophie, the U.S. has never reached the point of default in its history, and lawmakers from both sides have until June 5th to avoid a default. An economics professor I spoke with says a default could have a big impact on Iowans, and avoiding it is the better option.
The debt has gone up by quite a bit over the last few years, but a lot of that goes back to COVID spending and for spending for the Great Recession in 2008. So the debt has risen at a higher than average rate over the last 20 years or so.
The nation's debt has now surpassed $31.4 trillion, and both Senate and Congress need to approve a debt ceiling deal to avoid a default.
Then the government will not be able to pay on the debt obligations that it has, and that will create some havoc in the financial markets. Many interest rates are tied to government bond rates, and as interest rates would likely rise, that would cause stock prices to go down.
Professor Canego explains who would be most impacted if the country were to default for the first time in history.
People that work for the government, people that receive government benefits, including Social Security and Medicaid, would probably see the biggest cuts.
The possibility of a deal not being reached and the country defaulting is concerning for Iowans who rely on Social Security benefits.
Iowa is an aging state. We have a higher percentage of older folks in Iowa. With that said, we know that 40% of people who get Social Security benefits depend upon that to be 90% of their income. They're going to be adversely affected if there are delays in their Social Security payments.
Professor Canego outlines what happens if lawmakers approve the deal currently on the table.
Currently, food stamp recipients have to work if they have no children and they're under age 49. The proposed legislation would increase that age at which people with no children would have to work in order to get food stamps to 55. There's been no change to Medicaid eligibility. Some veterans and some homeless people will be exempt from work requirements to receive food stamps.
Chris Kukta says whether or not a default happens, people need to have a financial plan.
My advice to them would be that they would save some money. It doesn't have to be in a special account, but start looking at that discretionary spending.
If the government doesn't pass this deal, the output would go down by more, unemployment would rise by more, and we'd have a much worse outcome for the future.
The House is expected to vote on the bill tomorrow, May 31st. And if a deal is reached, the debt limit would also be suspended until January 1st, 2025. Jason Toctasian, KCAU 9 News.
And speaking of the debt ceiling, tonight the House Rules Committee voted to send the 99-page bill to the full House for a vote that's expected to happen on Wednesday evening. A couple of U.S. lawmakers from Iowa say that they're working to make sure the country does not default.
So we put forward a responsible, reasonable plan. It was very pragmatic, and was very happy that the White House and Speaker McCarthy were able to come together and negotiate this bill. So I do plan on supporting it.
But I think the time has come for us to move forward with a plan that helps drive down the national spending and make sure the United States does not default.
If the House passes that bill, it will be sent to the Senate, where Senators Chuck Schumer and Mitch McConnell are working to pass the measure by the end of this week.